I got about 10 minutes. I'm going to talk for 4 or 5, and then I'm going to answer a couple of questions. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to explain to you the secret of money. The secret of money is that half of America is having their wealth stolen from them. Think about that for a second. 50% of Americans are having their wealth stolen from them with a hidden tax. It is called inflation. Here's how it works. The government prints money. When they print that money, there's inflation. If you have one of two things happen, you are having your wealth stolen from you. If you do not have something called a wage-adjusted inflation contract, so take an hourly worker getting paid $10 an hour, if you continue to get paid $10 an hour year after year after year, you are tricked into believing you are getting paid the same amount of money, but it just seems like you can't get ahead. It's because every single thing around you is becoming more expensive, but you're getting paid $10 an hour. It's because of inflation. The wealthy have a inflation-adjusted wage contract. Literally, they get paid more every single year to mitigate inflation simply for going to work just like you, but you don't get that adjustment, and they do. That's strike one to having your wealth stolen from you. The second, over 50% of America cannot come up with $400 for an emergency payment. 50% of America cannot come up with $400 to make an emergency payment. They live paycheck to paycheck. They live in all cash. They own no real assets. That means that 100% of their wealth is held in cash, and every year that wealth gets devalued away. This is not in the developing world. This is right here in America. Over 50% of people are having their wealth systematically stolen from them through just inflation. Bitcoin obviously solves this. And the reason is there is an alternative financial system that is being created. If you look at the legacy financial system in dollars, not only is inflation working against more than 50% of our population, also there is no transparency. Who here knows how the Federal Reserve and the US dollar works? Raise your hand. Bullshit. You know what they've told you. Who here knows every single transaction that's going to happen today in dollars? The government doesn't even know that. Who here knows how much money was printed today? Nobody knows. Who knows what the interest rate policy decision is next quarter or next year or 5 years from now? Nobody knows. With the alternative financial system that's being built, Bitcoin, it is the most transparent money that has ever been created. You know exactly how it works because you can go audit the code. You can go back to January 3rd, 2009 and see every single transaction that has ever occurred. You know exactly how much money is being printed today, 1,800 Bitcoin. You know the interest rate decisions for the next 100 plus years. Bitcoin is more transparent than any other money that has ever existed. This is so monumental because it takes away the two things that the wealthy use to keep the 50% at the bottom of America enslaved to debt and to the system. This is not theoretical. This is not some academic study. This is hard data that the IMF published in 1998 in a white paper that said inflation is the leading cause of wealth inequality in the world. Inflation is the leading cause of wealth inequality in the world. Since 2009, 2010, when we started to print money and we became addicted to quantitative easing, the wealth gap has widened. That is why you see the populism in America becoming so important and so prominent. People feel like they cannot get ahead. They cannot recover. They cannot figure out how to pay their bills. Bitcoin obviously solves this. Now, what I will say is if there are two systems and you have 100% confidence that the legacy system is the best system and is the only system that will ever exist, you should keep 100% of your wealth in that system. But if there is any portion of your brain that thinks there is 0.5% chance, 1% chance, 5% chance, 50% chance that a new system could be built that's more transparent and actually more valuable to the people that use that system, you should not have 0% of your wealth in that system. Because if there's two systems and 100% of your wealth is in one system, you're betting on that system winning and the other one having a 0 probability of ever succeeding. Two systems, 100% on one, 0% on another. Everyone in this room is incredibly intelligent. That's not how odds work. If you could tell the future, then you wouldn't play the game. But everyone is playing this game of money and finance because we don't know the future. And so if you think that there is any percentage chance that the alternative system could possibly have value, could possibly persist, or could possibly actually disrupt the existing system, you have to get off zero. You have to not have 0% of your wealth exposed to that financial system. So you have a choice. There's the legacy system, and there's this new alternative system. The new alternative system is more transparent and actually works for people. It actually gets rid of the ability for the elite to steal the wealth of the poor. And it does it for the first time in history in the most peaceful protest we've ever seen. You do not have to do anything other than take your wealth and put it into the new financial system and sit back and watch what happens. We are watching a new financial system being built. Most of the people in this room who have gotten off zero have started to understand some of the systematic things that are actually hurting people in America, are causing the wealth inequality. If you have 100% of your wealth in one financial system, you should look at the probability and the odds that it will not be the financial system that is 100% dominant forever in the future. And therefore, you have to get off zero. I think we have 5 minutes to answer questions. I'm going to do my best, but I'm going to go very, very fast. What questions? Okay, or we'll just clap for 5 minutes. That'd be great. That would really stroke my ego if you guys just want to clap for 5 minutes. What questions? Literally none? Wow. Okay, all right. Jesus. You stood up. You want to come up here and ask? Come on. Yeah, it's fine.
All right.
Nobody else can come up here.
Right. I might catch some slack for this question, but when you first started talking about Bitcoin and crypto in the news, I know Morgan Creek Digital talked about the index, right?
Yep.
In your $100 million bet over the course of 10 years, right?
Yep.
I know you only speak about Bitcoin.
Yep.
What's up with the other index? That's
So the question basically is we've got at Morgan Creek, we've got an index fund that is a beta exposure asset. It essentially takes the market weight average of the top 10 cryptos and allows people to buy it. It's over 80% Bitcoin. And we came out and we said we believe that crypto will outperform stocks over the next 10 years. So the stock market's been on the longest bull run in history. We believe that in December of last year, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency was going to outperform the stock market for 10 years. We're willing to put $1 million on it. We went to every single asset manager we could find on Wall Street. None of them took the bet. Don't listen to what they say. Just watch what they do with their money. If crypto's going away, it should have been an easy bet. We were going to put the money up. They could hold on to it the whole 9 yards. No one took the bet. Now, the other part of this question is, why are there altcoins that are in there? We've built our entire business on the idea that the people who are the hardcore Bitcoin believers, investors, etc., they've usually gone through this cycle. So they come in, they understand Bitcoin, they say, I don't know if this thing is real, maybe it is, maybe it's not. Then usually they go and they explore enterprise blockchain, then they go explore tokenized securities, then they go explore XYZ, whatever, and then they end up back saying Bitcoin's real. And so we think that that's one of the best ways to get people in is to simply say to them, although you might not understand why there's a difference between all these different tokens, just take what the market gives you. If you believe that there's value being created by all the intellectual capital that's rushing into this industry, just take the public market, which is liquid crypto, and we're just going to index it. Just like you would buy the S&P 500 rather than pick stocks, we're just going to index it. Now, the secret that we know is it's over 80% Bitcoin. Right? Bitcoin dominance continues to rise. We actually think Bitcoin dominance is going to rise even more, and hopefully that index will actually come closer to 90, 95%. What else? good luck. No, and we were talking about this earlier, right? So one of the things that a lot of people understand, how many people in here own real estate or ever bought real estate, had exposure to real estate, right? People your entire life probably told you real estate's going to always go up in value, right? They're not making more real estate. They're not making more land. It's going to go up in value. Again, that it's a misconception. Real estate's value does not change if you denominate it in land. You only have the land you have. What changes is the dollar price of real estate. But the land keeps its value, right? Because it is scarce. What actually happens is the dollar is devalued against the land. So if you buy a piece of land today for $100,000 and sell it for $120,000 5 years from now, the land did not get more valuable. The dollar actually got weaker against that piece of land because the land didn't change. Nothing changed with that piece of land. And so the same thing here is, why is it? It's because it's scarce, right? There's only so much of it. And scarcity is on a spectrum, right? It's not a binary, something's scarce, something's not. But you could argue that equity is scarce in a business. There's a defined amount of equity in that business. They can create more, they can do all this stuff, but at a given set period of time, it is scarce because there's a defined set of it. And as we know with everything else in life, that having some sort of defined supply, whether it changes or not, drives value, right? And it could be a lot of value or a little value, but that understanding of how much is out there is really, really important to understanding how much something is worth.